Two balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. It's his way back. Walk the ball. Chris Taylor.
What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined today by Scott Geirman, here for an impromptu little Dodgers chat ahead of the biggest series of the season, Scott. I think it's safe to say 4-game weird wraparound series in Arizona. The division seemingly on the line. Give me, a few hours before first pitch. Give me the pulse, Scott. How we feeling?
Just like you said, it's the biggest series of the year. Dodgers are dodging a bullet with two of, the Diamondbacks' biggest bats in the lineup right now. So I can't say that it's the best barometer of looking ahead towards the postseason, but for where they are in the standings and the Dodgers being able to take 2 of 3 against the Baltimore Orioles, it's a great spot to be in for the Dodgers because they have an opportunity to take this a few ways, to change the direction of the Diamondbacks season with their eyes set on the division, or to have them turn towards, we're going to maintain this top spot in the wild card, and the Dodgers can maintain this trajectory towards winning, the National League West, and they're on track to have the best record in the National League.
Yeah, 4-game lead in the division. So I suppose the good news here is that they can't be in second place in the division by the end of this because they picked up a game on both the Padres and the Diamondbacks yesterday. Feels like the first time in, years that both of those teams lost. In fact, every team in the NL West lost except for the Dodgers. So 4-game lead over the Diamondbacks, 5-game lead over the Padres. You mentioned some fortune that the Dodgers have and that the Diamondbacks are missing a couple guys. The good news for the Dodgers, Scott, is I look at the lineup they're putting out there. Freddie Freeman back in the lineup today, which is huge news for the Dodgers. And, this is their best possible lineup. Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, Hernandez, Lux, Smith, Muncy, Edman, Rojas, 1 through 9. This is the best that they can put out there. So to see them, at least offensively, getting healthy right before this series, I think is part of the reason why I'm more excited to see what the Dodgers can do.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's one of the two. It's one of the lineups that, barring what they decide to do with Miguel Rojas and Kevin Kiermaier and shifting Edman to shortstop, which however they want to mix that on any given day, it's really, this is a preview for, let's see them click on all cylinders here. Freddie Freeman, hopefully that little bit of time off allowed that finger to feel a little bit better. It's not going to heal in that amount of time, but hopefully feel a little bit better. Provide, it's a great matchup going against Zach Gallen, who has the opportunity, or, every time he takes the mound, to be dominant. I would like to see the Dodgers not let him off the hook like some teams have recently. I would like to see them be patient, but attack at the same time. And when there's spots in the lineup or spots in an at-bat where pitches are close, foul them off, be aggressive in no sense, and don't pass the buck. I'd like them to be aggressive, make them work, but when the pitch is there, don't miss it.
Yeah, I'm with you. And again, it's funny to think about the Dodgers and how hot they are coming into this game, because as the divisional lead seems to have dwindled, you can kind of trick yourself mentally into believing the Dodgers are sputtering when I think they've won. It's something like 15 of their last 19 games or something like that. I mean, the Dodgers are on a heater of their own. I see Philip in the chat, playoff lineup. Let's see how it goes. I'm with you. To your point, against lefties, there might be one little switch, Rojas, Kiermaier, but other than that, it's everybody in the spots that you would want them. Let's talk pitching. Clayton Kershaw on the mound for the Dodgers. Positive starts, followed by last time out, I don't know if a step back probably feels a little bit too aggressive, but maybe warranting some of the concerns that a lot of people have had about Clayton Kershaw. So give me a confidence level from you, Scott, on Kershaw getting game 1 of this series.
I would say because of without looking at the lineup and just talking about the stuff that Clayton Kershaw has to do, if you just told me rebounding off of his last outing where he allowed 5 earned runs on 9 hits against the Tampa Bay Rays, it's more so just let's get back to don't have to be perfect like he was against the Cardinals. It's just improve on that a bit. It's the same mentality I've had with Bobby Miller and Walker Buehler. It's that don't allow yourself, as the starting pitcher, to be the reason the Dodgers lose the game. Don't be that. If you give them 5 1/3, if you allow 3 earned runs, you're still keeping them in there just because of how dominant the bullpen has been. I believe in their ability to do that. They're going to be stressed here a little bit. They've had a little bit of a run playing against the Orioles, and now you've got to go ahead for a 4-game set straight in a row against the Diamondbacks, who have an amazing offense this season. So it's more so just keep the team in the game. You are dodging a bullet, Clayton Kershaw, not having to face Christian Walker and Ketel Marte, because Ketel Marte against lefties, really against anybody this year, has been incredible. So the Diamondbacks will be aggressive. They will hit. It's just a matter of hopefully keeping the ball in the ballpark, but improving on a 5-inning, 5-earned run outing where he allowed 9 hits in his last start out. Just be a little bit better. Bring those hits down, miss a few more bats. Give him a chance to win, man.
Yeah. Again, thanks to everybody joining us. Noah, Ederico, Philip, Michael, all those in the chat. We appreciate you. Looking at Kershaw, his last time out, Scott, was such an interesting one when you kind of peek beneath the hood, because the quality of contact was loud. I think he allowed like 10 hard hit baseballs, which is not great. On the flip side, the question with Kershaw has always been, like, it feels like, I should say, in 2024, that the MO of Clayton Kershaw has been not missing a ton of bats, but soft contact. Last time was the exact opposite, a 28% whiff rate, which is really, really good for him, and a lot of loud contact. And so I don't know if did you see something was he trying something new last time out? Was it just kind of a fluke in both of those categories? Or, is there something to find there kind of in between those two extremes?
I'd have to dive in it and really pull stuff from his last start, because like you said, he was staying, I would say, like, he had the whiff rate there. He was staying in the strike zone, but it's just the contact, the quality of contact there. You've got to limit the hard hit balls. You got to limit the big damage, and all in between. Like, it matters. Like, those one big swing matters. He can give up all the dink and dunk stuff he wants, just as long as it doesn't, amount to multiple run innings. You can't have the bunch stuff. I can deal with a run here and there, as long as you limit, a 3-run homer, 2-run homer. Don't get yourself into a spot where you're predictable. I want to see him go back to where he was with the Cardinals, changing the shape of the slider a lot, because against the Diamondbacks, you're going to have to do that. Their offensive, don't sleep on it, guys. Like, chat, like, it's great to have you in, but you'll see it too. Make sure Clayton Kershaw is working the inner half. Make sure he's dotting that fastball, not get predictable. And when he does throw in that slider, make sure he's manipulating the shape so that it's just not working a 2-pitch thing, 2-pitch deal, 3-pitch deal, mixing a changeup here and there. But that curveball, going to be the great equalizer. That slider just has to be, pounding the down and in, right?
Yeah, Matty, man, this is a playoff preview period. Clayton cannot give up 5 and inspire confidence. All eyes are on him. And it's interesting, Scott, to hear the way that you're describing the contact. This is an interesting stat I didn't realize. In 6 starts this season, how many home runs do you think Clayton Kershaw has given up?
Hasn't been a lot.
1.
It's not a 1. Yeah, not been a lot. Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
So no home runs in his last 4 starts. So every start he's made in the month of August, 4 starts, 21 1/3 innings, no home runs allowed. So he's been able to limit that. And some people would say, how sustainable is a stat like that? And typically, there's some people that believe, like, the home run to fly ball rate just is sort of like batting average on balls in play. It's something that's going to normalize. I would suggest somebody like Clayton Kershaw may be better than average at limiting hard contact and staying off of the barrel. But it'll be interesting to watch, because even his strikeout numbers, like, I think the picture a lot of people have in their mind of Clayton Kershaw is not necessarily a guy who has 18 strikeouts in his last 21 1/3. I'm not saying that's an elite number, but the fact that he's even approaching 9 strikeouts per 9, I think would surprise people.
Yeah, no, when he's in a rhythm, he's been getting it done from a strikeout sense, I would say. But I just keep having the flashbacks, and I would say the Padres earlier in the year, I would think it was late July. I'm pretty sure.
July 31st.
July 31st. So teams that are very familiar with
3 earned in that one.
Yeah, teams that are very familiar with Clayton Kershaw, that are able to pick up on the tendencies right away. You've seen him a bunch. They're going to make him work. We will know right away what type of bite that slider has and what type of command that fastball has right away.
Yeah.
It's going to know, like, it's reminiscent of what happened in the NLDS. I know that was a different Clayton Kershaw that was working with, an injury. He was hampered by some stuff there. But it's just what we can see from a team that is being aggressive. They are not missing bats. And there will be loud contact. There will be loud contact if he's not checking those boxes, because the question that I've asked Blake, and I think you'll agree with this, you'll defend Clayton Kershaw, and I respect the hell out of that, buddy. But we know that if he is not superb, it's going to be a tough go for him, right? Like if he's not checking those big boxes of fastball commands, sliders on point, it's going to be a hard go, because for that stuff just isn't there anymore. But when the stuff is being dotted, it's got the movement. He's got the depth. Everything looks quality. It's just, we'll know right away.
Yeah. And I see Dodger Blue 4 in there, which was sort of taking the words out of my mouth. The one thing Kershaw has always done is limited runs. Even this season, the 5 earned runs that he gave up in his last one is the only start he's had all season across 6 starts that he's allowed more than 3 earned runs. So 2, 3, 1, 1, 0, 5 are his earned runs by start. You mentioned the Padres game, 7 total runs. So I'm not giving him a free pass on that one, but that's the key. And that's the hardest thing, I would even say, for guys like you and me, Scott, who sort of believe in some of the underlying metrics, the nerd stats, as our guy Matt would say. There's a lot of people that would argue what Clayton Kershaw is trying to do, limiting hard contact, soft contact, is not necessarily sustainable. You've got to get the swing and miss. That's where you're going to be able to sustain success, have a greater margin for error, if you will. And so I think that if there's an encouraging piece here, even in that last outing, to see a 28% whiff rate, I think from a guy like Clayton Kershaw is probably the number that I'm most curious, because if he can mix and match, to your point, not be predictable, but mix in the curveball, the slider, the fastball when nobody's expecting it, get swing and miss, get called strikes, and also be able to limit contact when there is hard contact, when there is contact, I think that's the recipe for success, obviously, for anybody, but especially Clayton Kershaw, kind of given where he's at in the season. Let's talk other pitchers real quick. The Dodgers throwing Kershaw, Gavin Stone, probably Justin Robleski on Sunday, and then Jack Flaherty in the finale on Monday afternoon against Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt, and Eduardo Rodriguez. So big picture, Stone, Flaherty, Kershaw, Robleski. It's not exactly the A+. We talked about the Dodgers throwing their best lineup out there today. It's not their best group of 4 starters, but I think, the way Stone has pitched of late, I think Kershaw gives you a chance. Robleski, it worries me. That's the matchup that worries me the most, but talk me through where you're at with those 4 starters.
So Jeff, you can answer your own question with that. Like if we break down Clayton Kershaw start to start and how he's been able to limit that hard contact, limit the home run, and go from there, he's been fine. Like if he can work through some of these moments, that's why I keep bringing up, he's walking a lot of the same. It's funny that we talk about Kershaw in the same light of like Bobby Miller and Walker Buehler, because it's like each moment, each game, you can see one moment that if things change, went one pitch or one play differently, it would be completely different. The start would look so much better. And I think that's why, like, where I'm looking at Walker Buehler, I believe in what he can do in that turnaround, like we spoke on Wednesday night. I think the same stuff with Clayton Kershaw. His usage looks good. So if you want to say you're not putting out the number 1 4, you can. That's fair to be, because of not having Tyler Glasnow right now, Yamamoto making his way back. That's fair. But if you're giving me 3 guys in terms of Clayton Kershaw giving you a quality start, Gavin Stone riding this absolute, terrific turnaround he's on again, and then Jack Flaherty, we have to believe in what he's doing. And Justin Robleski, I thought that was great. When we spoke Wednesday, I said I would like to go with Robleski because the Diamondbacks have had, lesser success against lefties. So it's not ideal, sure, for that, that third guy in Robleski. But it's someone that, to the game plan, I think can get some stuff done. And it just takes out Jock Peterson, who's been terrific. You just have to watch out for, what has plagued Robleski this year has been that home run ball. He pounds his own, and that's going to happen, man.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. If you look at batting average against left-handed pitching, it's to your point, whether or not the Diamondbacks are a team to face, they've actually, I'd have to go back and check the numbers. I'm seeing something that says, so you're saying they've struggled against lefties? That's the point.
Yeah, they're on the year against left-handed starting pitchers. They are 22-25. And Matty, man, I know I was talking about that having the lefty in there, and Robleski gets Jock out of the starting lineup for that third game. That's what I was talking about.
Because their weighted runs created plus against lefties is one of the best in baseball. So we'll see.
I'm just saying there were some going. They're losing games when there's lefties starting. That's all I was saying.
No, I mean, and again, I think it's fair. I think I'll be curious to see how that plays out. Because when you said that, I was like, oh yeah, for sure. And then I looked up the team splits just to quote some of it, and I was like, wait, this says they're good. A tick below the Dodgers as far as against lefty matchups. But again, people have been clamoring for Justin Robleski. the Dodgers are doing the right thing by extending the rotation a little bit, giving these guys as much of a breather as they possibly can. And so, being able to see how those things play out in the rotation, I think to your point, we're on the same page in that, especially as constructed, but I would even argue once you get to the postseason, the key here on this team is going to be the offense. It's like pitching. I love the way you're framing it, Scott, because I agree. So the starting pitcher's job for the Dodgers is don't lose the game. It's not,
Please
I don't
lose the game.
need 7 innings, 2 hits, no earned. Just keep me in it. Keep me alive. Like I've said for the last 5 years, the number that Dodgers pitching, if they can keep people in the 4 to 5 runs lane, obviously lower is better. But if they give up 4 runs and the Dodgers lose, it's the offense's fault. It's not pitching's fault, in my estimation.
Like when I pulled up some stuff right before we hopped on, and I know everybody in chat's going to groan when I talk about this, is Clayton Kershaw's start against the Diamondbacks last year. Like there were 6 earned runs. He made it a third of an inning. And then Emmett Sheehan comes in, allows 3 earned runs of his own. And by then it was 9-0. And you never even had a chance to even, swing a bat. Like you never even had a chance to get warm. You couldn't even get in a rhythm there. So it's just don't lose a game. The offense, just like you said, Jeff, this is a lineup where you look ahead, and if anything's going to win it, this is the lineup you're going to do it with. Everything else they're talking about, grown. I feel you, Philip. Anything else you talk about is a bench thing. But this is the starting lineup you're going to put out there. And if it's ever going to get revved up, if there's ever going to be any pressure, manufactured pressure because of the division, there hasn't been a better time all season than this series right now.
Yeah, and part of the reason I'm intrigued by the decision to go with Robleski on Sunday rather than have Flaherty pitch Sunday and have somebody like Buehler pitch on Monday.
Yeah.
Look, we've talked about young guys. How are the Dodgers going to trust these guys in a postseason environment? Well, this is close as you're going to get to a postseason environment with Stone on Saturday and Robleski on Sunday. So I think we're going to learn something about both of those guys and how they handle this moment. And I'm not saying, if they pitch well, they've earned themselves a spot on the postseason roster, but these are the types of things you can't really simulate. And so for the Dodgers to mix and match and to get Robleski an opportunity, Stone obviously just in the rotation now, I don't think either of us are worried that the moment's going to be too big for either of those guys. It's just a matter of, more so with Robleski than Stone. Is he ready for it?
Yeah, Gavin Stone showed us enough, and chat will agree. You guys were all here, following the series against the Yankees. And Jeff, I know that when we're so hyped for Gavin Stone and that start there, that I think that showed us fans a lot that, hey, this second year turnaround is legit. He's a guy, he's got a low heartbeat no matter what the thing. So I believe in a lot of what Gavin Stone had, his rebound after that tough stretch there. He got back to a lot of the principles that he had early on when he was almost an all-star guy. Robleski is interesting because on DB, we've talked about and about having the possibility of him maybe being, a bulk guy in the postseason. I like that role for possibly Landon Knack with how Tyler Glass now projects if he's limited. But Robleski is someone who can be a weapon. He can be a guy because high-powered lefty. They've got a few right now. Anthony Banda, Alex Vesia. Is he possibility an answer where he can be a long guy because of that high velocity from the left-hand side? It will be a good test for him. We'll see how he is in a start there because it's a good offense. It's going to be a good barometer for him. Isolated pieces, no doubt.
Yeah, and I'm with you, and I'm long on Justin Robleski while also being the guy who's pointed out that maybe he's not ready yet, as Paul C says in the chat. He's not ready yet, and that's okay. He has been able to neutralize right-handed pitching to a degree. They're hitting 194 against him. The flip side is he gives up a lot of long balls. So they're hitting 194, but with a 507 slug. So it's not the perfect combination, but I'm just pointing that out as he's not a guy that's only getting lefties out and getting absolutely destroyed by righties. He's giving up a lot of home runs to everybody, but has fared against righties, which I think plays well in can he be in the postseason. Now, Dodgers have a pretty full bullpen out there, so we'll see how that happens. I see some people in the chat pointing out that Clayton Kershaw was injured in the game that Scott is referencing. Obviously,
I know, I brought it up.
Surgery after. So
I talked about
to your point, the point wasn't the point you were making was not about Clayton Kershaw. It was about starting pitching, just giving their team a chance.
Give him a chance, man. Yeah. Just give him a chance. Let's go in the entire time, Jeff, and we've been big on it. Chat has taken, this to themselves too, is that just let's give the offense an opportunity to be like, because they were historic. Now you've got Ohtani there. What's up, Jay? Good to have you guys in here. It's really something where you got to give them a shot. You got to give them a chance to get there because let's just project here. Things go well for the Dodgers. They take 3 of 4, and then your sights are set on just, going ahead for the 1 seed. And then you're working with, another layoff here with having the bye week. It's just a matter of, it's going to take a few innings, whether they go into it with a good mindset or not. They're going to need a few innings, the offense, maybe even the pitching, to get up to speed, to get up to the atmosphere, the playoff, the roar, the crowd, the mojo of what they're going to have to work with. You just have to weather the initial storm there until, hey, either they're hitting the ground running or you need a few innings. So you just have to work in tandem just until that somebody gets that swing, and then you're going to see them rolling. So I think that the decision with how they structure their starting pitching will continue to be a question. What's up, John? We appreciate you, man. But I love what Jeff has brought up a lot about, how it's going to be a big test. It's going to be a big test for Clayton Kershaw, what he can contribute and the rest of the projected starting pitchers this series.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Dodgers, one of the best teams in baseball. They're the best team in baseball by record. They've been one of the best teams in baseball over the last 3 weeks. The Diamondbacks have been the best team in baseball over the last 3 weeks. So, two trains going in the same direction. Not both of them can't come out heading in the same direction. So let's get to some questions. We got about 5 or 6 more minutes here before Scott and I have to hop off. But if people have questions, have thoughts, if you just want to share your thoughts on this series, on this matchup tonight, Clayton Kershaw, the Dodgers lineup, whatever it is, throw that in the chat. We'll get some of those up there. 4-game series against the Diamondbacks. Again, starts tonight. It's the weird Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then the bonus one on Monday. So you got to remember the Monday day game after a weekend series, just bizarre. But that's the way things are going to work here. So we'll see a pair of day games, Sunday and Monday, both day games, tonight 6:40, tomorrow 5:10. So bizarre series in every way. You got a different start time in basically 3 of the 4 games. So we'll see. Carlos wants to know, does the fact that Arizona hasn't seen Robleski, is that an advantage for the Dodgers? How much do you buy this type of thing, Scott? A new pitcher against a team that hasn't seen him. Although on the flip side, like kind of all the data that is now out there, video that is out there.
I would say that it's a slight bit. If he was a more like top of the rotation guy or a regular guy, I think it would matter, but it's a good question because you never know. But I think I'm not going to say he's a generic left-handed pitcher, but he's a hard throwing lefty. He's got a mix, heavy fastball, slider, curveball. He pounds the zone. And I think that when you pound the zone enough, guys can get very trigger happy in the box and you can start to pick up on those tendencies. And he's a young guy. And for a pitcher to really navigate major league hitters, not falling into a rhythm too much where guys can pick up on it. And that's where you're seeing a lot of this loud contact against Robleski, I believe, in where those one swings, because you said overall he's done fairly okay. But when those swings happen, they're leaving the ballpark. And that's because of tendencies, missing spots, and putting stuff in a real predictable hitter's spot. And that's when you're seeing the loud contact.
Isn't it beautiful? Like, as you're saying this, I'm thinking about Robleski and Kershaw standing next to each other, 2 guys who are throwing lefty, one guy who's like desperate to see a 9 in the front of his fastball velocity, the other guy that can touch 100. And yet it's the guy who can't throw 100 who's been more successful for one simple reason. He hasn't given up any home runs, 1 home run in 6 starts. Robleski, on the other hand, is averaging like 4 per 9 innings or something. So you got to love baseball in moments like that. When Robleski, everything tells you Robleski should be more successful, and Kershaw making it work. I like this from Laker Toby. Go ahead.
One thing real quick that you'll love too is that when we reference Clayton Kershaw, people want to talk about velocity with his fastball and everything. Who gives a damn, man? Yep. Like, we're talking about a guy with a Hall of Fame slider, a Hall of Fame curveball. And that's really all that matters, because all he has to do is land that fastball somewhere around there to find that tunnel to make it look, so much better. And that says a lot of what a lot of what Robleski has to do. But that's the part of baseball where it's finding those things where it's like, hey, he's got his principles at the end of the day. Clayton Kershaw's got 2 Hall of Fame pitches. What does the velocity matter?
Yeah. Hey, and that's why I refuse to give it up, Scotty. I'll admit,
I know.
I'm loyal. I'm loyal to a fault on guys like Kershaw.
Yeah. He's a dog.
This is why. Laker says, realistically, I think a split is very possible, which means the Dodgers leave town losing no ground. Honestly, everything else is gravy. Ederico, similar. He has the question, how many wins against Arizona in this series do you realistically expect to happen and want to happen? So on the Laker Toby piece, like, do you agree with that? The 2-2 in this series, don't lose any ground, going to Arizona, that would be, I'm not going to say a success, but all right, we live with it. Nobody, there's not an angry post-game show on Monday night after a performance like that. Or do you think there would be disappointment with 2-2 from the Dodgers?
I really believe that they need to go 3-1 this
Okay.
series because of the tiebreaker to kind of hold off anything. Because right now on the year, they are down. So the Diamondbacks have won 5 and the Dodgers have won 4. So I would need them to. I
Flip
really
that.
want them to go. I really want them to go 3 of 4 in this series here to make sure leave no doubt.
Yeah.
And when record, all set in stone at the end of it. If there's any doubt with the overall record, the tiebreaker lands with the Dodgers, and it stays there. So I'm banking on. I want 3 of 4 here. I like the pitching matchup in those, so I'm going to stick with. I would like 3 of 4. I'm not but I'll settle for a split because I think that as long as you don't leave in a very tight spot with the 1 and the 2, we're okay. That's why I was a big emphasis on just please take care of business against the Orioles and make the D-backs have to play their own games.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's a great point. If they can
What
get
about you?
3 out of 4, they then have the tiebreaker. Let's do a couple more real quick. Elishiva, are you saying Buehler's going to be dumped from the rotation and Robleski will replace him? No, we're just saying 6-man rotation. Robleski just going to slot in, and then Buehler and Bobby Miller, everybody, Flaherty included, they all get bumped back a game as well. So let's do this. I mean, let's just end it. We got to head out of here. Give me a prediction. You said you want 3-1. Ederico also asked, how many games do you think they will actually win? Again, they've got Kershaw, they've got Stone, they've got Robleski, they've got Flaherty on the one hand. The Diamondbacks, Gallen, Kelly, Fott, and Rodriguez. Dodgers offensively healthy. Freddie Freeman back in the lineup. The bullpen has been looking good lately. So give me the prediction, Scott. How many games of these 4 do the Dodgers get?
I'm going to say they take 3 of 4. I'm going to say the loss, like Diamondbacks. I've got a buddy who's a big Diamondbacks fan. He knows that right now the lineup is sorely missing Ketel Marte and Christian Walker, and they're doing all they can. They're putting up runs, but the pitching is allowing a ton. Like that's a note that their run differential here. It's because their pitching staff has been stressed big time. So I'm going to say the Dodgers take 3 of 4 here. They've done a terrific job of game planning. They held the Orioles at bay, who have a terrific ball club. I'm going to expect 3 of 4. I will settle for a split. I will expect 3 of 4, though.
One note on that. Troy Lovello has kind of left the door slightly open to these guys coming back. He said the expectation is next week, but did not shut the door entirely on Sunday when roster's expanding one or both of ththis guys. So something to keep an eye on, maybe depending on if the Dodgers take Friday and Saturday, do the Diamondbacks kind of step on the gas a little bit? I'm actually, this is a unique spot for me, Scott. I'm going to be the less optimistic of the two.
Okay.
I'm going to say 2 out of 4, and I'm perfectly content with that. If the Dodgers walk out of this with a 4-game lead in the division, I think the point you make about the tiebreaker is great. And yet at the same time, I'm just saying if you split, the sky is not falling. The world is not ending. The Dodgers maintain the status quo. They've got a 4-game lead with the Diamondbacks. No more opportunities to kind of head-to-head get some of these games back. So I'm with you. Would love 3 out of 4 because of the tiebreaker point, but I'm going to go 2 for 4 on my end, and see what happens. The Robleski thing worries me a little bit, and so in Arizona, just I don't know. It's the heebie-jeebies about that place sometimes.
Big high, a lot of offense in that ballpark, humongous outfield. I'm not surprised we're not seeing Kevin Kiermaier out there, but I would expect to see Kevin Kiermaier out there at least 2 starts this series in center field.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, you've got righties everywhere except for Monday. So 3 righties on the mound for the Diamondbacks. That has been the side that Miguel Rojas has been better against. So we'll see kind of how Tommy Edman fares out there. And obviously, nobody is saying Tommy Edman is
He'll be terrific.
bad. He's just not Kevin Kiermaier. So, hey, everybody, we appreciate you joining us on an impromptu show here. That's Scott Geirman. I'm Jeff Spiegel. There will be a post-game show tonight with Matthew Moreno and Anthony Witrato. So just stay tuned right here. Sadly, my schedule in September has gone a little haywire. So going to be a little bit different rotation for some of us, but we're going to have you covered. All right. So subscribe, ring the notification bell down below. That is Scott Geirman. I am Jeff Spiegel. Enjoy this one. Clayton Kershaw on the mound for the Dodgers. Anthony and Matt will have you post game. As always, go Dodgers.